All right, welcome in 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. We've got a big event going on this weekend, not only in Saugus, Mass. At Sports World, but also in Holyoke, Mass. We got the Outsiders, and right now with me on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline is two-time Wrestling Hall of Famer Kevin Nash. He joins me. Kevin, I'm Joe Murray. You're in Boston right now. Appreciate taking a few minutes, man. Are you dealing with the hurricane right now down south at the moment?
This thing was supposed to pass, and man, we're getting some kind of I don't know what the hell we're getting today, but we got nothing yesterday when it went by us, and now we've got some kind of storm system kind of hanging out. I live on the East Coast, on the beach on the East Coast, so we're getting something today. So
Yeah, we're getting it fierce. We're getting it out fierce out here. The after effects in Boston. So real quick, man. Feel free. Parentally advisory. So be yourself, man. Don't hold anything back in this interview here. But let me ask you, man. You're coming to Boston this week. You're doing a signing. Any memories, man? I know you were a part of the last match at the Boston Garden, but any memories for you coming to Boston over the years, traveling around?
used to always stay out of Revere. Back when we used to come to town, and there was a couple of gentlemen clubs we used to go to out there. It was always a good time. Always had a good time in Boston.
So you spent some time working in the strip clubs, right? At one point before you got into wrestling.
Yeah, I did. I worked at a bunch of them, but I did did about a year at one up in Detroit, and then I was at the Cheetah 3 for about 3.5 years in Atlanta.
Now, did you ever have any run-ins with the Godfather over the years at any strip clubs?
No, but I actually went to Vegas and hung out with him one night while he was working. So that was cool.
Yeah, what a wild child, man, huh?
Yeah, not really though, man. He's such a different cat. Like, he's remember the first time like he came and picked me up in Vegas. He had like I want to think like a '69 Chevelle, just all just jacked up and slicks, and and we screamed around town in that thing. I was just thinking like, I just didn't see him as a hot rod guy, but he was.
Yeah, and of course, man, everyone knows you as Big Daddy Cool. That seemed to be your trademark, man, in wrestling, whether it was promos, hanging out, even just being a sidekick or being someone's bodyguard. That was kind of always your big thing, man, and you're still doing it to this day. But I got to ask you, man, cool moment 25 years ago. I saw you quote recently that the Bash at the Beach, the match wasn't even that good, but all we remember is the third man, Hulk Hogan, the heel turn, and the NWO. But like, what sticks out to you most about that memory from 25 years ago?
Well, yesterday was the 25th year, and I live like maybe 20 miles from that Ocean Center. I live south of it, and like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we didn't know whether Hogan was going to even turn or not. So do we lose sound?
No, we're good. We're good. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So we didn't like. So it was one of those. It was a typical WCW day. I mean, down to the last minute. So is he turning? Is he not turning? Is Sting turning? Who's turning? Everybody thinks it was this, organized, totally contrived. No, man, it was the same old bullshit. Same reason we left the first time to go to WWE, and the same reason it didn't work out in the long run.
But is that how it worked out? Like, I guess Bischoff said he wanted this thing to really play out for 8 months, but obviously Scott Hall had his appearance, and then it's the Bischoff, and it's look behind you, and then there it is. Here's Big Daddy Cool in the mix. But was this all, hey, let's just show up and see how it goes and you improvise? Like, was this thing scripted or was this all you guys?
No, it was us.
Yeah.
It was us because like at that time, like the hottest thing in pop culture was death row. You know, it was death row rap, and you know, Country Joe and the Fish down there in Atlanta, they weren't exactly rocking any Mac 10 in their cribs, you know. So it was like we pretty much had to bring a little urban down to good old WCW.
Yeah, and so the day of, and again, we listen to all the podcasts now. We love the 83 weeks and all the stuff that's out there, but like I don't know if it would have been as cool if Sting was the guy. And there's no knock on Sting, all right? I'm sure you don't
No,
feel the same way, but it had to be Hulk Hogan, right? And then what happened? Like, were you in the ring? And were you like, is this thing gonna happen? Like, were you guys looking at the watch? Like, you mentioned.
at that point we knew, we knew he was, once we went down and had the match, we knew that he was gonna turn. But I watched a couple clips of it yesterday, and Hogan was gone for like 8 weeks doing a movie. I think it was like Escape to Witch Mountain 2 or whatever it was. I know Robert Vaughn was in it, Morgan Fairchild, you know, and like he was watching it every week, and our numbers were taking off. Like we were doing well. Like Scott and I were getting momentum, and he wasn't going to. One thing that you can say about Hulk is he's a very intelligent man. He's a good businessman. He wouldn't have let that money train leave without him on it. So we knew he was going to. But Bobby Heenan, God rest his soul, as great of an announcer he is, just out of nowhere he says 2 times, "Yeah, but whose side is he on? Why the hell would he be on our side? He ain't been there in 8 weeks. Like, so you know the finish, so you want to come across smart." 25 years later, every time I hear that, man, it's just like, man, that's so bush league. Just bullshit, man.
Well, dude, look at all the stuff they were throwing in the ring. Because that's what I did. We actually just did a watch along recently, and dude, stuff was thrown in the ring, and I mean, it was crazy. Like that was, dude, is that the most heat you've ever felt in your life?
Yeah, like the old timers would always say, hey man, they had to have the cops take us, and the guy tried to shank me on the way back, and whatever. They were mad that night. They were mad that night. When Hogan told them to shut up, and he'd basically been playing them the whole time. Yeah, there's a lot of kids out there stop saying their prayers and taking their vitamins.
So I got to ask you. Obviously, that's one of the dude. You were part of actually some pretty big moments, and I don't want to bore you with these, but like the curtain call was a big moment. The finger poke of doom, was a big moment. But like, do you look back and say, "Shit, man, I was a part of some pretty big, like, epic moments, Monday Night Wars, you name it." Like, dude, you might have been like part of the biggest reasons why there was even a Monday Night War to begin with.
I got a thing in the mail. It's sitting over here like 2 days ago, and hold on, I see if I can pull it over here.
Yeah, go ahead. And we're sitting here with Kevin Nash, 2-time Hall of Famer here on 98.5 The Sports Hub, and just sitting here. Look at this bad boy.
We see this thing here.
Yeah.
So they sent this to us. Let me see if I can make this thing work.
Yeah, let me.
It's got a piece of plastic on it, but I mean, it's like it's me, Vince, Hulk, Paul, Triple H, X-Pac, and Scott. When we went in, but I'm thinking to myself, like, 30 years ago when I broke into business, if somebody would have told me that, yeah, you'll just kind of be boys with Hulk, and Vince would be a friend, and it's just like, what? So No, it's just kind of cool. And then one of your best friends will marry Vince's daughter, and he'll be pretty much in charge. In charge, you know.
It's wild, man. And not to mention, I want to get into your movie stuff in a little bit, but not to mention, like, dude, like, we always see The Rock now, and we see Cena, but you had a little taste of that, and we'll get into it a bit. But I want to, dude, all these documentaries that come out now, like all these, behind, Dark Side of Wrestling, and these are all huge now. Like everyone's loving these. I'm
Oh yeah.
sure you're watching them as well. But I had a chance to watch the one with you and Shawn Michaels, the two dudes with attitudes.
Uh-huh.
And you mentioned that Shawn wanted to be a wrestler and you wanted to be wealthy. And I don't blame you, man. Like, if you're taking all these bumps and you're going on the road, man, you might as well get paid, right? But,
Yeah.
like, Shawn wanted to wrestle. When did you realize you could make some money doing this?
I blew my knee out playing ball over in Germany, and I came back to Detroit. I was just hanging out with some, and back in the day, you on like a Friday night, you get 3 or 4 guys in the car. Everybody grab a 12-pack. You drive around, drink your 12-pack, and decide where you're going to go to hang out that night. So we're driving and we're going up towards the Joe, and I'm like, it's summertime. I'm like, what is there a concert? And then I saw the marquee, and it said, the WWF was in town. I said, oh man, I don't want to watch this shit, man. I don't want to watch this since I was a kid. He goes, no man, it's good now, man. Like it's changed. I'm like, all right, so we go, and I watched, and Hulk was 4th. Because Hulk back then, a lot of times would do like, he'd be 4th match on the Detroit card, and then maybe they'd have another show in Cleveland, and he'd be the main event. Like they put him on a private plane, and Hulk would do both, would do a double shot. So I watched, I watched the man, Hogan, and I looked at it, I said, man, I'm bigger than him. I said, even with my bad knee in that little ring, I said, I can move as well as he can. I said, I could probably do this. And it was a lot harder than I thought it was, but but doing that, to his credit, man, he made it look very, very easy. He made it look like he was just sitting out there, treading water. But
Yeah, my question for you is, when did you realize that there was guaranteed money? Was it like, who was chirping? Because you were boys with Dal, you were there before. Who was chirping in your ear, dude? Guaranteed money here.
Well, there was guaranteed money, but there was a limit to it. So it like the guarantee, like, you could get what they called the Sting deal, and Sting was making $750,000. Well, I made that more than that in the WWF. But I worked 325 days, but I
Yeah.
was making, I made more than that. So what I wanted was, I wanted 7 figures for 150 days. Like that was kind of my goal. And we got it.
Hey, it prolonged your career too, if you think about it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you had a knee issue. You go to you already were a star. You already were a champion.
Yeah.
Let's go try something different. And you mentioned, the Snoop, the Dre, that NW, that thing was big at the time, and I agree with you. But like, also think about the era you were in. Like, dude, you're walking to the ring with Pam Anderson and Jenny McCarthy, and you're involved in all this stuff. Think about the Dennis Rodmans, the everything else that happened, man. Like, you guys essentially were a big part of what pop culture was in the 90s, and you're a big part of it, man. And I don't want to kiss your ass about it, but that shit's cool. That's why you're Big Daddy Cool. That's why shit's too sweet, man.
I mean, I don't. There's not a day that I don't thank the man above, man. Say thank you for getting. I don't know why I got the breaks and why shit fell the way it did, but I'll take it.
So at our radio station, we're the home of the Patriots, Celtics, and Bruins here at 98.5 The Sports Hub. And we have a host at our station named Fred Toucher. He's from Detroit, man. He talks about his days, in Detroit. I forget what station he worked for out there, but can you talk about like growing up there, and then like how did you end up in Tennessee?
Well, my mom did I wanted to go to the University of Detroit because Dick Vitale was the coach there. So I wanted to go to Detroit, but I was 17. I didn't turn 18 till July. So like my mom said that she wouldn't sign. She didn't want me going here. She didn't want me going there. She knew about if I went down in the middle of the city, like she knew I'd be in nothing but trouble. So she said, pick some place, and we took a protractor, and it was like it had to be like 450 or 500 miles from the house, so they could drive to a game on the weekend. So I looked at Ohio State, I looked at Michigan State. But Magic was going to Michigan State. And I talked to Magic. He was like, man, everybody's going to Michigan State. We're going to win the national championship. I'm like, man, I want to get out of the snow, man. I could have been a national champion, but what the hell?
Yeah. Could have played against Larry Bird,
Good choice. Okay, now Magic, because Couture was the center, and he wasn't that good, Not saying I was great, but I think I was better than I think it was Jim Couture. But they had Kelser, Jay Benson. They had a good squad. So needless to say, I mean they won it. But I went down to Knoxville, and they told me to sit on the plane. And I stayed on the plane, and when I walked out, they rolled out this orange carpet. They had a pet band at the gate. The mayor gave me a key to the city. I went out and hung around with Ernie Grunfeld, and they showed me around town. And some honey that we went out to dinner with ended up in my room that night.
Let's go here.
and I came back to the D with a pocket full of money. So I mean, you do the math, right?
There you go. Again, Kevin Nash always about, hey, he's in it, but he's in it to be cool and make a little dough.
Hey man, it's just like you can go to you can go to North Carolina, get an education, but I'd rather go to University of Tennessee and get a Olds 98 and $1,500 a week.
I love your honesty here. All right, so a couple other things I want to get into here. Are you a bit so you're in Florida now? Like, is everybody loving Tampa Bay? Is there Tampa fever with the Lightning winning? And obviously, we were the home for Tom Brady for years, and obviously he now wins with the Bucs. So, like, is it Tampa fever out there for you? And do you still root for the Detroit teams?
I always root. Nah, man, I'm a Lions fan. I mean, that's just, I'm a Lions fan. I'm a Pistons fan. I'm a Tigers fan. And I'm a Red Wings fan. I mean, that's just. But I actually put a tweet out last night. I said, should I go down to Tampa and open up a bar called Hockey Town? We got Hockey Town up in Detroit. We won two. I think we were the last team to win 2 Stanley Cups. Was the Wings in 95 and 6, I think. But I don't know. This medical marijuana thing down here's got my head all screwed up. No, I'm kidding.
Hey man, I hear it's great down south, man. So back east, it just became legal here. So we're finally in on. I'll ask you a couple wrestling questions, and I'm glad to hear at least that things are going pretty well out there. Hey man, Eric Bischoff, dude, I've had a chance to meet him a couple of times. him and Conrad and Bruce, they do a lot of tours. Kowloon's my spot up here, so
Right.
maybe you've been there over the years as well.
Yeah.
But just talk about Bischoff, man. Like I know people look at him as like maybe at times as a guy who was let maybe WCW go to shit, but at the same time, I look at him as like that dude had ideas before they were like ideas upon ideas, and then really was the amount of like television that he put together, great content for a certain amount of years. I know he says 83 weeks, but that was for years, man. Like, what are your thoughts on Eric Bischoff? And I was glad to see him make the Hall of Fame this past year.
You know, Eric and I were very, very close. I mean, and we still are. We're very good friends. And I helped book for a while. And so I was like kind of his right-hand man for a while. And I got a chance to see like how on a daily basis the other tower at Turner was just, man, just they never wanted wrestling to be successful. I mean, they just didn't want it. They had this this mentality of they'd rather put out some garbage original movie that spent $20 million. The damn thing would, the first time they showed it, do a .9, and you give us that $20 million, and we're doing 3 hours of Nitro, 2 hours of Thunder, 3 hours of Saturday Night. We're giving them basically 8 hours of television a week, all in the top 10 rated in the cable, top 10 rated hours, and doing fives. And they got some stupid Civil War movie, but just doing a .9 because they want to be artsy. Well, fuck you, you know. So
I know.
Eric had to put up with that,
Yep. Yeah, well, he's doing all right for himself these days, though, and I'm sure he can pick and choose and do what he wants, and that's what I wanted to follow up on. I know you said you booked for TNA. I feel like TNA got a bad rap, man, over the years. I know a lot of guys say that they liked working there and made money, and I know that at times maybe some guys were past their prime, and that's whatever. But how do you feel about AEW and bringing back former WWE wrestlers to their program?
You know what, man? The cons they got like super bank. Like you don't own a premium league soccer team and an NFL team. I mean, I think that the ad's worth like 10-12 billion dollars.
Yeah.
You got 10-12 billion dollars. As far as I'm concerned, you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to bring back the Golden Girls and make it the next Sex in the City, you do it. I don't give a damn. I mean, to the victor goes the spoils. They want to have wrestling. They want whoever they want to hire. Hey, those guys are all my friends that are getting hired. So if a guy gets another 2-3 year run, hey, puts in Bitcoin, he takes off, he ends up a rich man. I don't know. To me, I'm happy. The thought of my body hitting the ring, hitting that mat one more time is like, fuck no, that ain't happening. I'm done. I'll be 62. What's today? I'll be 62 tomorrow.
Dude, tomorrow's your birthday, man.
Tomorrow's my birthday.
Holy
Tomorrow's
shit.
my birthday, and I'm going to Boston to go sign. That's how much I give a shit about my birthday.
Hey, man, we're happy to have you here, of course. I got to ask about Scott Hall, man. You guys are what, basically coming down together, hanging out for the weekend, man. All right, you can get personal or not. It's up to you. But you got to go on the road with Shawn Michaels and Scott Hall, man. Am I missing anybody that was maybe as fun to hang out with besides those two guys?
We were in such a funk, and we wouldn't have known. I mean, I I've hung out with Scott like more than any human being on earth, you know, and but X Pac, Sean Waltman's and even though Hunter doesn't party, man, Hunter's funny as hell. He's got a great sense of humor. I mean, my whole thing is I can't remember a time in my life that I was laughing that I was having a bad time. So as long as I'm like, because it's miserable on the road. So if you got a bunch of guys that are manic depressives, now we might be schizophrenic and crazy and everything else, but we weren't manic depressives. So we were usually laughing and having a good time. But no, those guys are. When I came up to WWE the first time, '93, we ran hard. We ran real hard.
Still here, man.
Yeah. Knock wood.
So I gotta ask you, man, I appreciate your time hanging out here. Is there anybody you like nowadays? Like I don't know, the product's different now. Like it's heavily scripted, especially what's happening with the pandemic, no crowd, etc. But first, do you think that a big man like yourself could still be the champ this day and hold the title? I know Lashley was talented, Brock talented, whatever, but like, do you think they're going away from the big man? And is there anybody that you actually like watching these days?
I like watching Randy Orton. And I like him with I like him with I like the little combo with the Riddle.
Yeah, Riddle, yeah.
But and I think that I'm on 3% power, so if this thing dies,
No problem, man. Thank you, I appreciate it.
we'll just say adios. But I think Roman Reigns has really kind of fallen into. He's very comfortable with. I like his. I think he could have done it in any era. It just took him a little. He got the super push. He got this. He got his cancer came. He had so many things that happened. I think that right now that he's really got, he's focused. It seems like it comes real easy to him, and he's that top guy. I don't think anybody else is. But I think Randy's the same way. So Randy and Roman are the two guys.
Got it. And again, I saw Braun Strowman get cut, and I'm like, oh man, like, how do you let a guy like that go? But who knows? Maybe they'll build him back. That's why I say the big men. Who knows how long they last anymore?
Yeah.
It's a.
I got my 30 years. That's all I care.
Yeah, and you got paid. Speaking of getting paid, man, I gotta ask you. So, Adam Sandler, dude. Like, are you guys friends? I know you were in Grandma's Boy. The Longest Yard, man. That's your spot, man. Play with the nipples. That's the shit.
Yeah. We're acquaintances. I'm a 1%.
Yeah.
I think are we dead?
No, we're good. No. All right, well, Kevin Nash, I had to ask him about that final one here, but yeah, he ran out of battery. He was having a fun time today, but appreciate Kevin Nash's help here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. But again, I want to thank everybody over to help us out today. Here we got Sports World 8 to 10 on Saturday, and at the Holyoke Heroes Hideout 4 to 6 p.m. So Saturday in Saugus 8 to 10 at Sports World. In Holyoke Heroes Hideout 4 to 6 this Saturday. Go check them out. There's a signing for both of those guys here. And I want to thank Kevin Nash for joining me here. I left him too long, a half hour. That was my own fault there. But I want to thank Kevin Nash again joining me on Just Sitting Here. He's a good dude. And, I appreciate him hanging out for a few minutes here. And once again, if you want to meet these guys this weekend, feel free to check them out. They are, again, going to be in Saugus at Sports World from 10 to noon, and then they're going to go up to Holyoke at Heroes Hideout. I've never been to Holyoke before. I can't tell you a restaurant that is in Holyoke, but I want to just throw in that Adam Sandler one at the end because I like when he's playing with his nipples there at the end when they change his meds. So that was pretty cool. But my thanks to Kevin Nash for joining me here on Just Sitting Here and on 98.5 The Sports Hub. We'll talk to you guys right after this.